Hey, hey, it's Friday! Who's excited for the weekend? Me. It's time for another 5 Things Friday, and this week we're going to talk about Sloan Krause and the lovely Bavarian village of Leavenworth, Washington. Are you excited to know how Sloan came to be? And do you want to learn luscious beer lore? Come back. I'm so excited that you're here with me for another 5 Things Friday. It's my favorite day of the week. And one of the things that I appreciate most is you. Thank you for sending me so many ideas and suggestions. I have a stack of 5 Things topics to cover, and it's all thanks to you. But this week we are doing a special Sloan Krause edition. These are 5 things you might not know about the Sloan Krause Mysteries. Let's get right to it. We're going to start with number 1. This question comes from Amanda R. Amanda says, I wish Leavenworth was real. Okay, technically that's not a question, it's a statement, but I had to tackle this topic because guess what, Amanda R? It's real. It's real, I swear it's real. Leavenworth is tucked in to the northern Cascade Mountains. It actually does resemble a Bavarian village, not just because of the architecture and the way the city's been designed, but also because the Washington Alps kind of jut up on every side of it. So you have this quaint and gorgeous German-inspired village with cobblestone streets and beautiful balconies dripping with geraniums in the spring, much like you would find in a real German village. But you also have just these gorgeous vistas of mountains and the Wenatchee River. It's truly a place that you have to put on your bucket list. All of my books are set in real places, and that's because I like to give you a taste of what the Pacific Northwest is really like, and Leavenworth is no exception to that. One more funny thing about Leavenworth and it being a real place, and that is the cover art for Death on Tap. First of all, I'm so in love with this cover. This is the first book in the Sloan Krause Mysteries. One of the reasons that I think the cover is so perfect is because the cover artist is from Wenatchee, Washington, and Wenatchee is just a quick drive from Leavenworth, and the cover artist definitely captured the spirit and the feel of Leavenworth in this cover. So if you can't go visit it in the short term, pick up a copy of Death on Tap and immerse yourself in the lovely Bavarian village, but definitely add it to your travel list. It's amazing. Okay, number 2. Sarah F., thanks for sending me this question, Sarah, says, why did you make Sloan a foster kid? That's a really good question. My degree, I think I've talked about this before, is actually in speech therapy. And so I spent the early part of my career working in an early childhood intervention program. And in that work, I did a lot of home visits and preschool visits, working with really young children, many of whom were part of the foster care system. And their stories just touched me and resonated with me and impacted me. They've stuck with me, not just the kids in the system, but also the families who sign up to become foster parents. The entire process of the foster care system in the United States is just such a topic that is near and dear to my heart. And I had been thinking at some point I wanted to work it in to one of my series. And once I really started developing Sloan as a character, I knew that it would be a really good way to sort of weave in some real life details from my earliest experiences. Yes, I know that if you're picking up a book that's titled Death on Tap, you probably know that you're going to be reading something that's light and fun and hopefully has lots of clues and little red herrings embedded so that you're going to piece together with Sloan whodunit. But for me as a writer and just who I am personally, I have to work deeper issues into my writing. I don't think I could write successfully without trying to reflect the world around me in an accurate way. I think that adding kind of character richness and depth is important to me as a writer, and I hope that that comes through when you read it. So for Sloan, those early experiences of being abandoned, really, and then popping from house to house in the foster care system defines who she is as an adult. And like so many of us, I think it's that whole thing of where her greatest strengths are also her biggest weaknesses. So those early experiences in the foster care system taught her resiliency and independence and how to be strong. And at the same time, they often made her close herself up and not maybe become as emotionally attached. So for me as a writer, part of the gift of writing a character like Sloan is getting to develop her emotional arc as the series goes on and grows. And I hope you enjoy that touch as much as I do. Number 3, this question comes from Karen C. That kind of rhymes. Hey Karen. Did you do research about women in beer before writing this series? Yes, 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 and yes. This is kind of like Leavenworth being real. I spent so much time researching women in beer and just sort of the craft of beer in general. Because I live in the Pacific Northwest, craft beer is part of the culture. I mean, literally almost on any corner you go to in a major city or even a small town, you're gonna find a brew pub and you're gonna find brewers who are doing interesting and innovative things with hops and flavor combinations. So I was already kind of drawn to that culture and sort of that like new trend that's really taken off in the last 10 years, but started probably 20 to 30 years ago. One of the things that I found really interesting was that in the world of craft beer, it has been predominantly men doing most of that work. You know, beer was always sort of a man's world, so to speak. And many years ago, when I was first starting to think about potentially doing a series like this, I had read an article about the Pink Boots Society. It's a collective of women in beer in a variety of beer-related careers who are working on empowering one another and making sure that women have voice and a place in the industry. And over the last few years, it's just been incredible to watch how many women are now head brewers at large breweries, small breweries, breweries of all shapes and sizes. I love that. And of course, they're wearing cute pink boots. No, not always. You don't have to wear cute boots. But when I was up in Leavenworth for Oktoberfest, and again, this idea of just sort of a nugget of an idea was percolating in the back of my head. My husband and I, were hanging out at Icicle Brewing, which is our favorite brewery in Leavenworth, and we were having a beer outside, and I think I was reading like maybe the menu, I don't know, maybe there was literature, I can't remember what exactly I read, but I learned that one of the owners of Icicle Brewing is owned by a woman, Pam, who I had the pleasure then of interviewing and meeting, and she's amazing. And so she kind of became the early spark of inspiration for Sloan. So cheers to women in beer and all the amazing things that you are brewing. Number 4, this comes from Chris S. How do you come up with titles? Oh my gosh, coming up with titles is perhaps my favorite thing about writing. It is a family affair. No joke, around our dinner table, we're constantly like riffing on different puns. My editors are involved. My dad will call me with title ideas, my sister, friends, neighbors, you name it. Coming up with titles is always an interesting evolution too, because I would say 90% of the time when I start a book, I have a working title that most of the time does not end up as the final title. So for example, for the Sloan Krause Mystery Series, book number 3, drumroll please, Beyond a Reasonable Stout, it's okay to laugh. Actually, it's okay to boo, because the whole point is they're supposed to be punny and over the top. Beyond a Reasonable Stout, my husband came up with that idea. And I had a working title when I finished the first manuscript, the first draft or so, that just didn't feel right. And so we sat down one Saturday afternoon over a pint and we just were like, you know, brew, what rhymes with brew? Clue, stout, doubt, ale, jail. And I don't know, it's almost like rapping or something. I have always lots of lists of paper that look like this all around my house with potential titles, with glimmers of ideas of titles, with potential titles for series that I haven't even written yet. You name it. Titles are fun. And readers, feel free to send me your ideas too. I'm always game for a good pun. Last but not least, question number 5 comes from Joan W. Joan asks, are Otto and Ursula based on real people? The short answer is no, but also yes. Again, back when my husband and I visited Leavenworth for Oktoberfest, just for a fun weekend ourselves, it was always kind of on our bucket list to go experience traditional Oktoberfest in Leavenworth because it is a sight to be seen. We're talking thousands upon thousands of people who descend upon this small, like 2,000 resident village and this mecca of an Oktoberfest weekend. In any event, there are fest halls and brew houses and big tents set up all over town and music from literally all over the world. Bands from Germany and Austria and every corner of the United States fly in and are performing nonstop on multiple stages throughout the festival weekend. And I think it was like a Saturday night. My husband and I were in the fest hall and one of the bands were playing like traditional Bavarian waltzes and the chicken dance and everything you can imagine when you think of German festivities. And most of, not everyone, but the vast majority of the people on the dance floor in front of the band were younger. They were in their, 20s, 30s, maybe early 40s. But this very adorable German couple joined in the party. He was wearing traditional lederhosen and suspenders and the cap with the feather, the whole shebang. And his wife was wearing a knitted shawl and black sort of peasant style dress. And they got out on the dance floor and they went to town. They were the cutest couple I have ever seen. I am sure I ignored my husband for the rest of the night because I was just honed in on them. You could tell that they were just soaking in the vibe and the community spirit. They were young at heart. Many people I observed that coming by and saying hi and greeting them. So clearly they were like cemented in the community too. And I thought, oh, there are my characters. There's Otto and Ursula. I also thought because Sloan hasn't really known family in the traditional sense, it would be interesting to give her a family through marriage. And there'd be lots of dynamic and potential tension if things don't work out with her and Mac. But she has this very deep love and connection for her in-laws. I have fallen in love with Otto and Ursula even more as I write them and I develop them and they come to life in every book. It's just such a joy to be able to write about a couple who care deeply about not only their family and those around them, but Leavenworth and the village as a whole. So there you have it. Those are 5 things you might not know about the Sloan Krause Mysteries, the first book, Death on Tap, and then dun dun dun, The Pint of No Return, another favorite title. I can't remember actually who came up with this one. Maybe it was one of you. This book comes out in mass market paperback in June, so it'll be a great chance if you haven't read it yet to grab a paperback copy and then be all caught up on the series before Beyond a Reasonable Stout comes out in October. I hope you have a great weekend planned. Maybe there will be a craft beer involved, or perhaps you'll bake something with beer. Beer brownies are one of my favorite and Sloan's go-to recipes. As always, it's been so fun to spend a little chunk of time with you on a Friday. Be sure to like my page so you'll be able to see whenever I share new videos like this. And comment below. Are there other things that you want to know about Sloan, about the Krause family, about what else is brewing in Bavaria, or as Sloan would say, Beervaria? Have you been to Leavenworth? Share your pictures with me. I love everything about a quaint mountainside village. I mean, aside from the murder, right? Happy Friday, happy weekend.